we will never forget Alex Pretti. We will never forget Renee Nicole Good, and we will never forget any of the Minnesotans who have suffered so unjustifiably in this time. Minnesota is a great place. That is why I believe we've been targeted. But it's not going to work. And we'll be in court tomorrow arguing for the rights of every Minnesotan to stand up and be the generous, courageous people that we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney General. We'll be glad to take some questions, folks. Tom?
Walz, you got a letter from Attorney General Pam Bondi making several demands, I guess you would call them, regarding sanctuary cities, regarding fraud and voter rolls. Your response to that, and is there anything you can do to meet the Trump administration at least part of the way to try to turn this temperature down?
Well, first of all, it's not a serious attempt, and the Attorney General sent that in. I would thank the local folks and Commissioner Snell. Thank you to you and your team over there. In that letter, they talked about, you need to hand people over who are in your jails. They're taking credit for people that we've had in jail for a long time. We always hand them over, and the commissioner very clearly. So they're lying. They're lying. This has nothing to do with fraud, as the Attorney General said. They're not sending us forensic accountants, and these are things that have been we're dealing with now and have been for quite some time. So look, it's not a serious attempt to get at this. The way to fix this is get these folks out of here. We've continued to work with them. They asked us for these numbers. We provided them. We continue to show they're not serious. And look, I think everybody understands what the last request was, totally unrelated to anything on the voter files. This is, again, as the Attorney General said, Donald Trump telling everybody that the election was rigged, who started all this nightmare for America. Has nothing to do with it. And I would just give a pro tip to the Attorney General. There's 2 million documents in the Epstein files we're still waiting on. Go ahead and work on those.
For you or the Attorney General, if they're not honoring judicial warrants, how can you trust that they're going to be honoring this temporary restraining order?
Well, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked it because, since Trump 2 began, and even including Trump 1, we filed a lot of lawsuits. We're north of 50 now, and they've been on everything from birthright citizenship to SNAP to things like the National Institute of Health to EV to all kinds of things, and they've been complying with the orders. Now, I will say, the foot drag, we've had to threaten them with contempt a few times, and I'm not saying that the compliance has been good. I am saying that open defiance of court orders is not something that we've experienced. And so I have every reason to believe that they will obey the court order. Now, if they don't, we have recourse, and we'll pursue that recourse. On a deeper level, your question, I would simply say this. Just because they may not do the right thing does not absolve us of the responsibility of doing the right thing. We're going to seek legal recourse, and if they disobey a court order, then that's on them. But we're going to seek those orders, and we're going to insist that they be followed.
Local sheriffs have said they lack the legal authority to honor ICE detainers, and that's something that Attorney General Ellison has said as well. They lack the authority under Minnesota law. Is that an authority you could just give them? Could you pass a law? Yeah.
So really, the key issue here is I think most sheriffs in the state do fully honor ICE detainers and provide notification. The issue becomes when they have a lawful reason to be released, bail, released by judicial order. The jail cannot hold that person beyond that point in time. That's the fundamental issue. There is not a lack of cooperation. There is just some legal boundaries. We've had some conversations with ICE about this. We think that there may be some things that could be worked out, but I don't think that's the core issue that we're really dealing with here.
Can I simply say that it puts Minnesota in a very difficult position, Because if such a person were held beyond a period of time when the state court has the authority to hold them, then the state court is exposing itself to liability. So ICE just has to show up and do its job.
That's the fundamental question here. And that's the fundamental argument they keep making. We cooperate. We don't do their job. You saw it this week with rural conservative Cottonwood County. Sheriff had someone, told them this person's time is done. We can't just hold them indefinitely. It's against the law. So we're going to release this guy. Come and get him. They're too busy up here doing what they did yesterday to go pick up someone who actually should be removed from this country. And I don't know how many times they try and confuse the people across this country. It's their job to do immigrations and customs enforcement. It's law enforcement's job to do law enforcement in Minnesota. They are not doing immigration enforcement, saying we should be doing that, while they're apparently now trying to do extrajudicial law enforcement on our streets. So this is a red herring. It's untrue. The Attorney General of the United States put falsehoods into a letter she sends to me that we are doing what's asked of us, but we're not going to do your job for you. We have other things we need to do.
Attorney General, how concerned are you, getting back to the evidence in Pretti case, that you might not get access to his camera footage and that you might not get to the bottom of whether he was carrying an ID or not?
I am deeply concerned about the preservation of evidence, which is why we went to court last night. But I have faith in Judge Tonsrud's order that it will be followed, and I can tell you that Minnesota officials are going to do everything we can to get to the truth. And again, as a prosecutor, I am not allowed to say what the final outcome is going to be. We have to get the evidence and find out. But if you're asking me, Tom, if I'm concerned, you better believe I am concerned. But look, they've got the order. Now they're going to defy the court if they don't follow it.
You met with Vice President Vance when he was in town on Thursday, I understand.
I did.
Can you tell us about what the tenor of that meeting was? His goal was to turn down the temperature. 2 days later, there was the shooting.
Well, I guess it didn't work, huh? I mean, here's the thing. Governor Walz and I were in Congress together for 12 years before both of us went to go serve in state government. We're used to talking to these folks. Why not see if there's something that can be arrived at? I can tell you that it was a polite meeting. I can also tell you that I walked out of there thinking that we probably weren't going to get anywhere. Because quite honestly, a few hours late, not even hours, a few minutes later, he just got up there and just articulated the same talking points he made to me in the meeting. I tried to correct him. He didn't want to hear that. And so I'm like, well, welcome to Minnesota. Thank you very much. You both of us have things to do. So see you later. And I left. It was cordial enough, but it was not fruitful. But look, I just think that, and I'm sure the governor agrees, if you can try to talk to somebody sensibly, we do. But that one didn't get where we had hoped.
Yeah, Lauren Gurley here from the Washington Post. Do you know if the federal agents who were directly around Pretti during the time of the shooting are still out on the street in the Twin Cities or anywhere else in Minnesota? Any of them?
Don't know. They don't talk to us. They don't tell us. They don't.
And with the BCA being denied access to the scene after getting a warrant, is there recourse for them that way, or do you feel that this restraining order that you obtained requiring the federal government to preserve evidence is that recourse?
So there are certain legal strategy decisions that I'm not at liberty to just go on about in a meeting like this one. What I can tell you is that both the warrant and the TRO are evidence of our resolve. And we are going to get to the truth of what happened to Mr. Alex Pretti and to the truth of what happened to Renee Good and that's what we're pledging, and we're going to use every legal means to do that. So I can't tell you, I'm not at liberty to tell you what you're asking me, but I am here to assure the public and who's listening that we are going to get to the truth of this matter, and we won't be deterred and we won't be denied.
Ellison, we did see BCA agents at the shooting scene this morning. Can you confirm what they were doing there?
Absolutely. The question was about whether or not the BCA agents were on the scene of the shooting this morning, and they were, and they were continuing to collect evidence that they've seen. They're also doing some canvassing of the neighborhoods. I don't want to get into any more of the investigative process on this, but at the BCA, we are going to continue to investigate this shooting based on whatever evidence we're able to get, and we appreciate the Attorney General assisting us with the temporary restraining order to make sure that the federal government is retaining evidence that will be available, we would assume, to us at a later time. But the investigation will not pause. We are continuing to work on anything and everything that we possibly can.
I'm going to close with one thing that I promised the parents with Michael and Susan. And I speak to all Americans on this over these last 24 hours, what you saw. You're now knowing more about this young man. Beloved by his family, accomplished ICU nurse, skillful in ability to work with veterans, someone who's beloved by community, no criminal record, lawful firearms owner. And you know what you saw. And then you heard the most powerful people in the world, certainly in this country, President, Vice President, Greg Bovino, Kristi Noem, narrate to you what you were looking at, that this was a domestic terrorist, crazed, running at law enforcement with the intent to kill massive numbers of them, sullying his name within minutes of this event happening, and then closing the crime scene, sweeping away the evidence, defying a court order, and not allowing anyone to look at it. I don't care if you are conservative and you are flying a Donald Trump flag, you're a libertarian, don't tread on me, you're a democratic socialist of America. This is an inflection point, America. If we cannot all agree that the smearing of an American citizen and besmirching everything they stood for and asking us not to believe what we saw, I don't know what else to tell you. This has to be the moment. Your government, here in Minnesota, I've made it clear, I'm accountable for things that happen here, and I will take responsibility for that. Someone has to be accountable. Someone has to hold the final decision on this. And sitting behind a keyboard at 2 a.m. and besmirching a VA nurse and a son and a coworker and a friend is despicable beyond all description. This is not, we need to see both sides. This is not, we need to wait for this. This is basic human decency. And at this point in time, I'm just asking, try for a moment to set aside the political side of it and go back and ground in the humanity of this. This family has gone through enough, and to have the most powerful man in the world drag their dead son with absolutely no evidence and gaslight the entire country, this is enough. And I would say, President Trump, you can end this today. Pull these folks back. Do humane, focused, effective immigration control. You've got the support of all of us to do that. Let our law enforcement continue to do what they do, making Minnesota one of the safest states in the country, one of the best places to live. Allow our children to go back to school. We have got children in Minnesota hiding in their houses, afraid to go outside. Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota. And there's one person who can end this now. And I'll go back to it again. please show some decency, pull these folks out, reset this situation, and allow us to do the job that the Attorney General, myself, were elected to do, protect the people of Minnesota and carry out the laws of Minnesota. We'll be back with you when we get more information.